All right, so to finish up Unit 9, we're going to look at a couple things. We're going to look at greenhouse effect, ozone depletion or being used up, and global warming. Okay, so the greenhouse effect, the way I kind of tell students to think about it is like if you think about a greenhouse that's growing plants. The whole basis of that is it is a environment that allows the sunlight to come in, but then it keeps it around those plants. That's the warmth of the sunlight. So I try to think about it like a blanket for the earth. So the sunlight is coming in towards the earth, but then because of stuff called greenhouse gases, that warmth is being held around the earth. So it's kind of like a blanket that goes around the earth. So greenhouse gases, it says, warm the atmosphere by trapping heat. That like insulation for the planet. So this is insulation for a house. So basically what that does is it keeps the warm in the winter and it keeps the cold in the summer. So it keeps the stuff from getting out. And that's the same way it does with the Earth's surface. So it keeps all of that warmth around the Earth's surface. All right, so greenhouse gases are CO2, carbon dioxide, water or water vapor, methane, ozone, and ozone is O3. Oxygen we breathe is O2, so that's how it's different. Nitrous oxides, and then CFCs. CFCs are called chlorofluorocarbons. All right, so different greenhouse gases have different abilities to trap heat. So, for instance, like a methane molecule, it traps 23 times as much heat as one carbon dioxide molecule. But then a CFC, a chlorofluorocarbon, they trap 10,600 times as much as just one CO2 molecule. And this is actually an example of a chlorofluorocarbon. I don't think it's going to let me make it bigger. But we're going to look at some stuff with that. Okay, so human activity and greenhouse effect. Basically, we have an impact on that because we cause the greenhouse gases to increase. So I want you to look at this. What are CFCs? Because this is one of the greenhouse gases that's the most harmful for the environment. CFCs are non-toxic, non-flammable chemicals that have one carbon, one chlorine, and one fluorine molecule, and all those are from the periodic table. They were used in spray cans before, refrigerants, like things that make things cooler. They were also in packing materials. But how they impact the environment is what's bad. So we're going to look at those with the CFCs with ozone depletion. Okay, so the ozone layer itself is a layer that is in the environment or in the atmosphere that helps to screen out harmful UV rays from the sun. Okay, so if it was not there at all, then Earth would be too hot for people and plants and animals to live there. So it basically is like a little screen, kind of that screens out those rays. So if you look at this, okay, with the ozone layer, basically if we are doing all these things to pollute the environment and cause greenhouse gases to increase, then it is destroying this ozone layer, which is causing more UV rays to come to the earth and heat up the earth. Okay, so how the ozone layer gets destroyed. Basically, if you think about as CFC molecule, it says one CFC molecule can destroy 100,000 ozone molecules. So just one CFC can destroy 100,000 ozone molecules. Basically, what it does is the CFCs go into the atmosphere, they attach to an ozone molecule, and it breaks it down. So if the ozone molecule has 3 oxygens, it's going to break it down into just oxygen, O2, and then it's going to take one of the oxygens itself. So it's just going to leave oxygen. Oxygen itself has no UV protection, so it doesn't block any radiation from the sun. So that's why they are so damaging to the environment and to the atmosphere. Because the ozone hole was created where the ozone layer is dangerously thin, and it used to be just at the South Pole, but now it's started to expand. So I wanted you to see, kind of like on a diagram, what this is like. In 1981, the size of the hole was 900,000 square miles. 2006, it was 11.4 million, and I didn't type that in, million square miles. So you can imagine now that it's probably at least double that. So it should be around 22 million square miles. Okay, and why that's important is because if there's no ozone there, then it's not protecting the earth underneath it from UV rays. And you could kind of see here the size of the ozone hole and how it is getting bigger. Okay, and the red part would be where there's a lot of depletion or used up parts of the ozone layer. So you can see in 2007 kind of how it had increased. All right, effects of ozone loss, increase in sunburns, cataracts, and skin cancer. This is a cataract because it's kind of like a thin film over people's eyes, and they can have those removed, but that's a surgery. This is skin cancer because this is melanoma. And look at this number, just 1% of ozone increases skin cancer, or 1% loss of ozone increases skin cancer by 5 to 6%. That is crazy number. It decreases our ability to fight off infectious disease, reduces crop yield, and then also, remember we talked about plankton in the ocean? Plankton are going to give off oxygen for us to breathe. So if it's going to decrease plankton activity, then that's going to decrease the amount of energy that we have available for us, energy, but oxygen that we have for us to use. So what's being done? They actually banned in lots of countries the uses of CFCs. In the United States, that didn't really take effect until about the 80s, late 80s. You can also see that cars are starting to use things called catalytic converters, which break down the pollutants before they go out and exhaust into the atmosphere. Use of hybrid cars, so they're not using all gas. And then businesses having to use filters, like if they're putting any kind of particulate matter into the air. All right, global warming. Global warming basically is where annual or yearly temperatures are rising because of more greenhouse gases trapping heat and acting like a blanket around the Earth's surface. The U.S. has the largest number of emissions of greenhouse gases. If you could see this is more than likely why, because we have lots of cars on the road, and we also have a lot of businesses polluting the atmosphere. Changes due to global warming. Okay, we have glaciers and things like that melting. And I wanted to show you this too. The impacts of global warming. Polar region temperatures are rising, causing glaciers to melt. That can also cause sea levels to rise. And if you think about these species and they need that area, that cold environment to live in, then some of these species may become extinct later.